Yes, people, what's happening? It's Liam here from Trigga Fingaz, and welcome back to the Trigga Fingaz podcast. Now, it's been a hot minute since we've done one of these, but we're back and we're going to be doing a monthly podcast. And now, this could feature guest mixes from some really talented DJs, or we're going to sit down and have a chat with some really inspirational people. And that leads us to this month's edition. Now, we're joined here by Ross, also known as MCRV, and he's also known as the DNB Coach. How you doing today, mate?
Yes, I'm all good. Thanks, Liam. Yeah, great to be here. Thank you for having me. And
No.
nice to be called inspirational people.
Now, I came across your Instagram page for a friend of mine, Tristan. And, I'd consider myself a mental health advocate, having suffered with poor mental health since childhood, really. And I've also done a lot of work for various mental health charities, both like in the UK, Australia, and New Zealand. And I've actually raised thousands of pounds and dollars for those causes. And it's really important to me to spread awareness about these kinds of things. And the fact that you're doing it in the drum and bass space, it just really resonated with me. So it's a real honor to have you on today. Now, firstly, mate, I just wanted to get into sort of your journey. Tell me a bit more about your MCing and how you discovered drum and bass and how you broke into the scene.
Okay, so we're going to rewind back to like the late 90s now.
Yeah, man.
Um, 98 went to my first rave. It was a world dance at New Year's Eve in London. And yeah, I'd never seen anything like it. Like I grew up in a quiet, sleepy little seaside town in Kent in England,
Okay. What's
where
the
nothing
town?
really happened. Yeah, Herne Bay, big up the Herne Bay crew.
Big up the Home
And
Bakery.
yeah, then all of a sudden, just in this rave at the end of the night, we were in the drum and bass arena. I think Groove Rider was playing 7 in the morning, and I'm just looking around me, seeing all these people from all walks of life. I've never been in a room with such diversity at any point in my life up until then, and
Yeah.
like just the combination of these different factors, the music, the vibe, the people, the fact that it was New Year just completely blew me away, and I felt like wow, I need some more of this. I felt comfortable there. I felt like it was a family. That was from the very get-go, my first ever rave.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I was blown away by that and just started going out more and more. And in doing so, I would find myself drawn up to the stage where the MCs were. I
Yeah.
love that energy. It was more of the MCs that I was seeing back then were the kind of double time, quick bars MCs, your Skibadis, Fearless, Shabba. So these are the early MCs that got me into the scene. And yeah,
Yeah.
I just love the energy. So I would always be up the front by the stage. And then one night I'm at a house party. It's Christmas Eve, a big party around someone's house, and there's decks there. So me and my mate jump on the mic, start to roll some bars, and we realized that we got a bit of a reaction from the crowd. So that kind of spurred us on to write some of our own lyrics. And big up MC Jiminy, this the my early sparring partner, and we just used to go back to back at little parties. We got on a few radio shows. From there, I would enter MC competitions in the local area. So won a couple of them at places like Pure Science,
So,
Breakology, then Drum and Bass Arena online. Start to get a little bit of a name for myself. Creeping onto the London scene a little bit. Start to get bookings abroad, places like Czech Republic,
amazing.
Spain. Yeah, and then this is like the first 4 or 5 years of my career as an MC. Um, then in 2005, I decided to move to Barcelona. I love the city, love the football team, love the weather, and I was like, yeah, let's do that for 6 months, try it out. So moved out there with no job, nothing planned really, but my aim was to get on a flyer within a month. That was like my main goal.
Yeah.
Made that happen and ended up living there for 7 years. So
Wow.
that was it. Like I was out of the UK and started to make moves in the Spanish drum and bass scene, playing places like Ibiza, Mallorca, Madrid, um, still holding down gigs across Europe. Then I moved to Hong Kong and in another like crazy move, decided to go Hong Kong and establish myself as one of the one of the main MCs out in Asia, I suppose, for a good period of time, for about another 7 years.
Wow.
Then yeah, that was a blessing because I had the opportunity to to roll out with all the top DJs when they come over to Asia and like just go on tour with them. So for me, that was really living the dream. You know, I was able to MC with top level artists, do my thing, roll out for hours and hours and hours. Like I find that in the UK, there's the MC scene is a little bit saturated sometimes. It's hard to get an opportunity to roll out for hours and hours and hours because there's so many other MCs. So yeah, I really took advantage of that opportunity and rinsed it out as often as I possibly could
Yeah.
on the MC front. So yeah, that's a bit of my background on the MCing kind of things for you. Anyway,
Yeah, awesome. So how did you feel the scene varied in each place?
really interesting. They love different kind of stuff. I found like when I was in Barcelona in the early days, they love like the ragga kind of sound,
Yeah,
the more like ragga jungle kind of thing. Then there was more of an influence of jump up that would come over. The
yeah,
Spanish artists really started to push that a little bit. Um, at the time I was out there, so like late 2005 to 2010. Then in when I moved to Asia, I noticed in Hong Kong there was like one crew that would push um, the liquid, more soulful kind of sound. Big up Magnetic Soul. That was great. You know, they all the artists that are on they've got their own kind of, I guess, they produce under the name Magnetic Soul now.
yeah,
Um, they push that liquid sound. And there's other crews out there like Heavy Hong Kong that would play more harder sound. Your kind of metalheads, kind of artists would perform for them. But there was a big mixture. But like in a place like that, as an MC, I had to be very flexible
yeah,
because it was me that was the kind of front man, and I had to adapt my style to work with someone who's going to play liquid, someone's going to play rollers, someone who's going to play heavier.
yeah,
Um, and I remember once I was out in China having dinner before a gig. London Electricity was the DJ, and he said to me, "So what kind of style of MC are you? Are you more hosting, more um, more what did he said, more hosting, more crowd hype, or more lyrical MC?" And I was like, "Man, I'm just a little bit of everything, all rolled into one because I just adapted a DJ. I wouldn't specifically say I'm anyone in particular, but it
yeah.
was just like, yeah, adapting to the style. And a big challenge I had when I was in Spain was that the crowd couldn't really understand the lyrics because I was spitting in English.
I was
So
just
that made me
at
focus.
that. The language barrier there in all these
Yeah,
countries.
yeah, that was a big challenge. So what I had to do there was to adapt my style to incorporate more melodical flows so
Yeah,
that if they can't follow the lyrics, they can't follow the buzz, they can catch the melody and roll with that. So that comes through in my style. Yeah, it's quite a melodical flow. That's what I've adapted over the years.
yeah, wicked, man. And are you still MCing now?
I still do from time to time.
Yeah,
I do the odd radio show here and there. Um, I take the odd gig here and there, but I'm more selective about where I play now
yeah,
because since moving back to the UK in 2020, I started my own business and started my own family. So my priorities kind of changed from going out chasing gigs. I'm still involved in a scene. Maybe we'll probably talk about the coaching thing in a moment, but yeah, I still take the odd gig here and there, but that's not my top priority at the moment.
yeah, absolutely. And I guess sort of as life moves on, so does your priorities and what it is you're actually chasing. And we were just talking about that purpose. Maybe that can also be fluid in life, as it moves on.
Yeah, man, I agree. Your purpose. We have to check in from time
Absolutely.
to time.
Yeah,
You'll be amazed at the amount of people that don't do that and they start off doing one thing. Like
yeah,
I like to liken the music industry to an ocean, right? We're all little components on this ocean. Some of us are still in the harbor, afraid to like leave sight of shore on our careers because we want to play it safe.
yeah,
Others are lost at sea. They've gone out there with a purpose originally, but now they've lost their map. They're just going around in circles. They can't see the shore. They
yeah.
haven't checked in on their purpose. Where am I going now? They're just lost. They're just spinning around. So it's very important for us from time to time to check in on where we are, reflect, is this the right way for us? Do we still want to be going here? Or do we need to redirect ourselves and focus on a different purpose as we evolve as individuals?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just all about sort of staying present and sort of monitoring sort of where you are in life and how things are moving. Um, Now, look, before we get on to the stuff you're doing as the DNB coach, I just wanted to ask, do you have any highlights of your MC career?
Oh, highlights of the MC career. It's interesting, like you play some big shows and they're amazing, but let's not discredit the little shows, I think some of my best memories come from playing in rooms to like 80 people. Like I used to run my own little nights in this underground club in a town called Canterbury in Kent. And it was literally in an underground tunnel that I had to stand like this because it was so low. And I used to have lumps on my head from belting my head from jumping around so much. But we did little nights in there on a Tuesday. It was called Flexing Tuesdays. And we just rammed it out and we created such a vibe with local or up and coming DJs. We didn't need to book big names to fill it out. I felt like that was something that we really contributed to the local scene, gave artists a platform. And some of the nights that we had down there were really, really memorable. So I'd say that that's probably one of my favorite highlights from my MCing career is just to have created that
Yeah.
for our local community and just to have enjoyed it because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful feeling. Like I know when we're doing our events, sometimes I'll just stand at the back of the crowd and just look around and you just feel so happy with what you've created. There's so many people there with smiles on their faces, they're dancing, having an amazing time, you know. And we're all sort
Mm.
of together through a mutual love of drum and bass music. And I just think that's so beautiful, man.
Yeah, it's amazing. But as you mentioned that, that's got me thinking about another. I don't know if I call it a highlight of my career, but it's something that's definitely worth mentioning.
Yeah,
Um, there was one time when I went on my first tour of China with this guy called Blood Dunza, his DJ name, Li Fi from Heavy Hong Kong. He was like, "Man, I got to take you. We got to go and take drum and bass to these far, farthest, deepest, darkest areas of China where drum and bass wasn't popular." So we went on tour. We hit the road. We got on these night trains, traveled into these faraway places in China. And there was one club we were performing where there was like this big stage at the front, and in the club, all the ravers were sat at tables. They weren't dancing. They all
wow.
sat there at tables watching us perform. We did like an hour or 90-minute set or whatever. And I remember I'm just thinking, man, my MC like job is to get the people moving and get them connect with the crowd. And no one's giving me any energy to work with. I'm like looking at the DJ, looking at my watch, thinking, man, when is this set going to end? It was almost torture. And
Yeah,
then at the end, we came off the stage and everyone got up and started clapping and jumping and wanted to take pictures. It was like they were enjoying the show, but they didn't know about dancing to drum and bass music. They didn't know what it was. They'd never heard it before.
yeah,
They just didn't know how to react. Like drum and bass has kind of penetrated many different scenes, many different cities, whereby the culture has been taken there by people from other places and they can demonstrate how it's done. But there was no one else that really knew about it in that place apart from me and the DJ.
yeah.
So it was very weird. But they were like enthusiastic at the end, saying they really enjoyed it, but they simply just didn't get it. So that was one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Yeah, that sounds like an eye-opening experience, that's for sure.
For real.
Now, Russ, so what sparked your transition from being an MC in the drum and bass scene, you know, traveling all around the world performing, to coaching artists on their mindset and performance?
Well, there came a stage in my life where I was like living in Hong Kong. My MCing career was going well, like pretty much every weekend I'd be traveling around Asia to do big shows. I had a day job as well. I'd always worked in hospitality, so I started off in Barcelona as a server in a Hard Rock Cafe,
Yeah,
and that job aligned with my music because it allowed me the time off to do gigs and stuff. So all of a sudden, well, over time, I start to get promoted in these jobs, and then before I know it, I'm operations manager of busy restaurants in Hong Kong. Um, that was quite a full-on job in itself, 10 hours, 12-hour shifts. But then I was finishing work, going down the club, doing a gig. Um, in one way, I guess I wasn't able to juggle all these things and keep all these balls in the air at that time, and the
yeah,
wheels fell off a little bit. Um, Like my relationship with my partner broke down. Physically, my health was deteriorating. I found myself like really underweight, unable to focus, probably drinking more alcohol than I should have done at the time. And so I thought, man, I need to do something about this. So I found myself a coach. I worked with this coach over the period of about 6 months and totally transformed my life in a way that I was focusing on aligning my actions with my values, like what I really stand for in life, what really makes me tick. Um, and in doing that, every decision I made was driving me towards being my best self.
Yeah.
Right. In this 6 month period, I completely transformed my life. And I thought, wow, like working with this coach was so powerful for me. So I thought, man, I need to know everything my coach knows. I need to study. I need to apply all this goodness into my own life. So I did that. I jumped on uh, a course with the Bulletproof Training Institute, which is now called Human Potential Institute.
Okay.
Um, yeah, had a big focus on a biohacking element as well to help us kind of thrive with our biology, our psychology, and all this stuff. I was just applying it to myself on this personal development journey. And once I had that knowledge, it just became a natural kind of path to start sharing that with other people
Yeah.
so I could help others. And I realized that through my conversations that I was having with people in the music industry, there's not a lot of support for artists with regard to their well-being and their mental health.
Yeah.
Um, there's rarely an HR department. Artists are just push, 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 push. More gigs. A lot of the time, most of the time, we have to balance day jobs with a music career as well.
Yeah.
How do you do that and juggle a family life as well? How do you take care of your physical and mental health while you're like pursuing this career in music? So I thought there could really be something in here that I've got of value to serve my community of people who I understand from drum and bass. I've been there myself. I've been in the trenches for 20 years, making my own mistakes.
Yeah.
Now I'm able to help my clients so that they don't make those mistakes that I've already made,
Yeah.
and in doing so, help them to empower them by sharing tools, sharing techniques, helping them to overcome any challenges they've got so that they can thrive in their day to day. So that's pretty much how how I got into this coaching thing and
Yeah.
how I started to serve the drum and bass community, artists in drum and bass.
Yeah, that's really fantastic, man, and that's a really inspiring story. And I feel like as artists, we quite often we're doing this alone, and I feel like we don't really have anyone to reach out to. And I think everybody in life, to a degree, needs some level of coaching to get through life because we're kind of all figuring it out at the same time as we go. Um, yeah, tell me a little bit more about biohacking. I've not heard of that before.
Okay, so these are just like biohacking is little changes or modifications that we can make to our biology, our psychology, our environment in order for us to show up as our best, right? It was founded, so they say, by a godfather of biohacking who's known as Dave Asprey.
Yeah,
He's this guy out in America who he is a very interesting character if you follow him online. Like biohacking, some of the stuff that he does is very, very far out. Um, but it can involve things like the food that you eat, right? Superfoods, blocking out the blue light when you're at computer screens,
yeah,
blacking out your windows in your bedroom so that you can get a good night's sleep. They're tiny little things that you can do to just modify so that your body is in optimum state, so that it's producing more mitochondria from
yeah,
time to time that gets us to really thrive, show up as our best, and have energy pretty much on tap. It's not about having 100% energy all the time, because if that was the case, we'd all go around pinging and bouncing off the walls.
yeah,
But it's about making these small changes so that when you need to step up a gear, whether it's mentally or physically, you've got the energy to do that because you've been making these little micro changes to your behaviors, to your habits throughout the day. So yeah, that's a little introduction into biohacking, but it goes deep. I strongly suggest you look into Dave Asprey and see some of the stuff that he does because yeah, very interesting guy.
Dave Asprey. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have a look into that. That sounds I'm very intrigued by that.
Yeah.
Um, So what are the sort of most common mental challenges that you see in the music industry, and how do you normally guide your clients through these challenges?
Okay, so mental challenges, we're not talking about mental health, is that right? We're talking about like what kind of challenges goes on in the mindset of an artist, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay, so this could be something like fear of success or a fear of failure. These are
yeah,
two quite common ones. Like you might be surprised at of success because don't we all want success? But success is different for other people. And we might define it in one way, someone else might define success as another. It might be about having financial freedom, or someone else wants to feel grounded and loved and have a nice network around them that's going to support them. Other challenges that people face comparing themselves to other people, especially when you look online, you open up your Instagram or your TikTok or whatever, all the other artists that you're following looks like life is amazing for them, and
yeah,
therefore we instantly feel inferior. We feel like we're not good enough, right? But the fact is, we have to remind ourselves that that's just a window into someone's life that they choose to share. That's not the reality of the other 7 days of the week,
yeah,
um, which they're going through. We don't see all the highs and lows from everyone. People just tend to post the good stuff.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
just
Other challenges. Yeah. Sorry, what you say?
yeah, social media. It's just a highlight reel, isn't it? You don't really put the shit on there. It's all the highlights, you know?
Massively, massively. And like it's important to remind ourselves that as well. Because if we don't, it's easy to get sucked into the vortex and then just compare ourselves to other people. Right. And then a feeling that we're not good enough, a lack of self-belief is what I do a lot of work around at the moment. I do that with my one-to-one clients, and I also do workshops on how we can boost our self-belief because that's essentially our self-talk is what programs our brain, and our brain is what leads to the actions that we take. And if our self-talk, like at the starting point, is negative,
Yeah,
we are setting ourselves up for failure right from the very get-go, right?
yeah,
And 95% of our self-talk and our thoughts comes from our subconscious mind, right? So if the majority of that self-talk is negative, naturally, because of the way it's been pre-programmed throughout life, we're in a big danger of failing, right? We're not setting ourselves up for success in
yeah,
this way. So that's why self-talk is really important, and it's something that a lot of artists are working on. You might be surprised some of the artists who, from the outside looking in, they're at the top of the game. They look like they're thriving in their careers, but they've got this inner battle going on that really is holding them back.
yeah,
And finally, another important thing regarding something that goes on in the mindset of the artist is dependency, thinking that they need to depend on things in order for them to thrive, whether it be alcohol, whether it be drugs, whether it be certain kind of food or other habits that might get in the way.
yeah,
Um, that's a big one for artists as well. And when you feel weak or when you feel low, that's when it's easy to make these bad choices. And one bad choice generally leads to another, the wheels slowly come off, and that's when the danger sets in for artists. So it's important to really be aware of these habits and understand the consequences that one bad choice may have, because it can have that domino effect moving forwards.
yeah, absolutely. And I can totally relate to, the reliance thing, especially earlier on in my career. Um, I used to use drugs and alcohol and all these sorts of things as a coping mechanism to settle the nerves. And at one stage, I didn't feel like I could go through a set without doing it. And when I moved over to Australia, I kind of stopped all of that. And looking back on my DJing time in the UK, I can barely remember any of those nights. And just reflecting on the actual sets, I don't know how I played. I don't know what songs I played. I don't know if I was connecting with the crowd. And how can you ever improve on your career when you're not actually present in the moment? So I think it's really important that you are, not relying on these things. And if you are reliant, maybe reliant on something that's a little healthier for you.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, and you're not alone in that. There's a lot of people who go through similar phases of just like you get used to having a drink or taking drugs when you perform,
Yeah.
that becomes the habit, and it's hard to imagine doing it without it. And you tell yourself, "Oh, I can't do it without this," right?
Yeah.
You're reinforcing that belief by telling yourself that you can't do it. So it makes it even harder. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think moving to Australia is definitely a good move because things are very expensive over there, I hear as well. So that kind of helps you.
More expensive and less accessible, especially with the drugs and stuff. So yeah, it was the best decision of my life moving out there. I feel like I really matured as a man and found those values that I was kind of I was a little lost in England, to be honest. And I think it wasn't just the music that I was using the alcohol and drugs to get through. It was just life. I was just so miserable with life that my coping mechanism was, going for a few pints at the weekend, going for a few bags or whatever it was, and I feel like a lot of people are in a similar position. And it's quite sad really. But I'm very grateful for making the decision to step out of my comfort zone and step away from that for myself.
Yeah,
It
well
really,
done, man.
thanks, bro. I really appreciate that. Now, I guess my next question would be, the music industry, drugs, alcohol, late nights, the travel, the shitty fast food you eat at the end of the night. Um, you know, these all these things they go kind of hand in hand. So, um, how do you think the artist can balance the high energy lifestyle of the music industry, whilst maintaining a healthy and sober mindset?
Right. I mean, you say that these things go hand in hand. They kind of do sometimes, but if we plan ahead and we know, right, I'm going to be on the road for a long time, is there anything you can do regarding the diet for a start? You don't have to be eating McDonald's. You don't have to be grabbing sandwiches on the go with a little bit of preparation,
Yeah,
right? So, like packing a big bag of fruit or something for your journey. If you see a shop, you don't necessarily have to eat it there and then, but grabbing that and having that for you, just that hand whenever you need it, can just remind you that you're trying to stay a little bit healthier as well. Just to have like a bag of tangerines that you can just grab one from time to time. It's like, oh yeah, it kind of instills that healthy mindset. But again, a big one, sleep is super important when you can. I know it can be hard on the road, it can be hard when you're traveling, but any moment you can get to just get that rest, get that downtime, that can just pay dividends in the long run. So
yeah,
yeah, allowing yourself to make time for sleep. A massive thing that we really miss when we're on tour is just having any kind of structure, right?
yeah,
When you're at home, you know what time you're waking up, you know what time you're going to gym, you know what time you're going to studio, you know what time you're going to do this, that. It's all planned out for you. But when we're on tour, we don't have that. So it can be really helpful to just have one thing that helps you to stay balanced or grounded, even if it is a 10, 15-minute circuit training exercise in your hotel room, just to get the endorphins going, just to like sweat it out a little bit, get focused. Or it might be a meditation or reading or going for a walk outside, get some fresh air and some sunlight. These are little tiny kind of micro activities that we can do that all contribute to the overall well-being as well, right? And just reminding ourselves that one bad decision can lead to another, right? So if you decide, tonight I'm just not going to sleep, I'm going to go out all night, you might start drinking coffee to keep you going. Then it might lead on to something else, then something else. Before you know it, you're at an after party. You might be missing your flights home. All sorts of madness can be going on then just because of that bad decision. Now, I'm
yeah,
not saying don't have fun, all right? But there are ways in which we can have fun that are more sustainable because when we zoom out and see the bigger picture, we have to ask ourselves, how sustainable are these actions, right?
yeah,
How sustainable is my career going to be if I continue to act in this way? And if I do continue to act like this, how am I going to feel when I get home to my loved ones, my family? Am I going to be at my best or am I going to be a shell of a human being crying into my cornflakes on a Wednesday morning when I should be out there enjoying life and getting involved in activities with those people that matter the most to me?
yeah,
Yeah, it's all about zooming out and seeing the bigger picture and asking ourselves, is this activity that I'm about to consider partaking in, is that going to drive me closer towards being my best self? Or
yeah,
is it going to take me further away from being my best self?
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, they say health is wealth, and it really is. It's the most valuable commodity in life, and it's really important that you are looking after yourself. And one of my idols in the scene is Mampy Swift, and I played a gig with him last year, and you obviously seen him. He's in great shape. He's always looking after himself. He's in the gym, no matter whether he's just stepped off a 12-hour flight. And I just find him so inspiring. And I just asked him, like, what's your secret, man? Like, how do you do it? And his advice to me was just make sure you train every single day. Um, because if you don't, then your life falls apart. You need to do something that's good for your health. And I was just recently playing a few shows with him, and he never ate any shit food. It was always healthy, making sure he was looking after himself. And, that's why he's doing his 30 years of Mampy Swift tour and he's looking the way he is.
Brilliant. It's great. It's great to look up to people like that who inspire you, right? And you can use them as role models.
Yeah,
That's the Mampy Swift secret sauce. Go to the gym every day, even when you're on tour. It's
yeah,
possible, right? Like people make excuses. "Oh, I can't go to the gym. I'm on tour. I'm tired. I need to do this." No, 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 no. If it matters that much to you, make it happen. And like you say, that's why these guys are still out there 30 years deep and still at the top of their game, right? They're still there physically and mentally
yeah.
because they're looking after themselves. Yeah, it's great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if people are watching this and they're, chasing that dream as a musician, I guess one of the questions you have to ask is, do you want this to be a fleeting moment in your life, or do you want this to be your lifelong career, And you'll sort of make better decisions based on that reflection, I think.
Yeah, that's a good question, right? Again, it's reflecting on your purpose.
Yeah.
Why are you here? What
Yeah.
is your objective from this? Do you want to have your 10 minutes of fame on TikTok, or are you here to either make a living from it or to do something that you feel is going to give great value to other people that you really enjoy because it lights you up. It makes you to thrive and it's really a part of the fabric of who you are as an individual.
Music producers, listen up. This one is for you. Now, Trigga Fingaz Records is open for business, and we are on the lookout for brand new music to sign to our label. Now, we're accepting all styles of music, but please, guys, just keep it to jungle and drum and bass only. Now, whether you're a seasoned veteran in the game or you're just breaking in, we want to hear from you. Now, the best way to send your music, there is two ways. You can either go to our website, triggafingaz.com, and there is a page on there for you to upload your demos, or you can drop us an email at demos@triggafingaz.com. We look forward to hearing what you've been cooking up. Big up, guys. So Ross, can you share a success story with us where you helped an artist transform their career by, focusing on their mindset and well-being?
All right. So focusing on their mindset and well-being. Well, what I love about when artists I work with make these transformations, right? It's basically about getting lasting results. So not something that's going to be something that's going to change overnight and then you're going to revert to your old ways a couple of weeks later. It's about doing the work over the course of time. So just watching them develop, just watching them from the early days when they come to start working with me and they're like perhaps lacking self-belief or lacking in the confidence, having bad habits and just like all these kind of negative behaviors mixed together. And then over the course of various weeks or months, you see them just like elevating above them and letting all that baggage go as they transform into this new version of themselves. This is something that's just super rewarding because you're able to celebrate every step of the way, this transformation, right? You see it kind of unraveling as they elevate onto the next level. So yeah, this is massively rewarding. So is when artists do massive changes as well, like decide that they're going to go for their music career fully, 100%, and give up their day job. When they're like, you know what? I'm going to hand in my notice with my boss. I'm going to tell him I'm done with this and I'm going to go fully ham on the music. When that happens, that's also quite quite rewarding as well, because it means that they really believe in themselves. They really believe in what they do. They believe in what they have to offer as an individual. And when you see that transformation in the mindset of the artist, going from a point of like, oh man, I need to kind of hang on to this job just so I can pay my bills. It's like, nah, they're free. They're fully focused. They fully believe in themselves. And that is something that really gets me pumped. I've had that a few times. Um, and yeah, I got to big up everyone that I've worked with who has hit that stage in their career, because yeah, there's nothing more rewarding than that, really.
Yeah, I can imagine, seeing the results of your work and just changing people's lives, and there's a saying that I really love, and it's the secret to living is giving. And I feel like by giving all this knowledge away to people and just watching them take that knowledge and transform their lives, it must be a really incredible feeling for yourself, man.
I like that. The word that pops up for me as you say that is empowerment. And that's
Yeah,
really, yeah, that's really what coaching is all about. It's not about me telling anyone what to do. So sometimes people don't quite understand what coaching is. It's very different to mentoring or consulting, for example, where I'm the expert and I'm sharing my knowledge and giving you tasks and things for you to do. It's different from that. My expertise is skillfully asking the right questions that help the client to see and discover their own truth that
yeah,
perhaps they haven't quite uncovered it yet because there's too many little uh, layers of the onion to peel back before they get there. But the truth is always there. So yeah, that's what I do, is to ask them the right questions to help them to see and get the clarity as to where they want to move forward as they go on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, my dad, he does NLP coaching, kind of similar to what you do, and it's mainly focused on businesses. But I've done a little bit of that with him, and it really resonated with me when you just said that about, the answer's always there. You just got to find it. And yeah, it's all about sort of peeling back those layers and asking the right questions to sort of guide you in the direction to that answer.
That's it. That's what we call the aha moment. When
Exactly.
something lands and it's like, but this has been with me the whole time. I've been carrying this the whole time. I just haven't discovered it yet. When you
Yeah,
get that breakthrough, when you get that realization that, damn, I had the answer the whole time, but now it's time when you fully understand it to start implementing that in your life so that you get the change, that you get the transformation that you're looking for.
yeah. Yeah, man. So there's going to be a lot of people watching this who are in the scene, DJs, producers, and a lot of this is probably resonating with a lot of people. So, if they were interested in taking you on as a coach, how do they reach out to you? Yeah, how do they go
Yeah,
about
that's
doing it?
Thank you. So there's two ways. You can find me on Instagram or TikTok at the DNB Coach. It's a very simple name to remember. Or you
Yeah,
can check out the website, which is keepitrealcoaching.com. That's how people can contact me. They can find me there. Yeah, just message me. I'm happy to have a chat with anyone, no matter whether you're an emerging artist at the start of your career or if you're high flying, you've been doing this for 10, 20, 30 years. There's always room for improvement. There's always room to take it to the next level. I like to say, like, it's like a computer game. Every level there's a big boss. Once you overcome that big boss, you haven't completed life. There's a next level and there's an even bigger boss. So wherever you're at in your journey, I'm here to partner with you, and let's see what we can do.
yeah, wicked, man. And I can vouch for Ross just by going through his social media, the posts that you put up there. There's just really inspiring, and just really spreading an amazing message. So yeah, please follow Ross at the DNB Coach on Instagram. And yeah, I just want to thank you so much for your time today, mate. Really appreciated it, and thank you so much for being a guest on the Trigger Fingers podcast.
Big up, Liam. Yeah, nice to be on here. Thanks a lot. And yeah, all the best with the podcast, and hopefully catch up with you real soon.